of the structure, you see that temple up there. That temple, hey bud, right here, you see that temple up there? If anybody on board is perhaps looking for a place to propose, you can do it right there. You can rent out that temple area for an entire hour worth of time for $3,500. Let me make eye contact with some of you. Cool, right? Yeah, awesome. Let's move on. So everybody, that's a lot of money right here. As we see it going on, speaking of another topper, right here to the front left, this one often referred to as a cake topper. Here on the left is the Jewelers Building. Talking gangster era Chicago, this is by Gavier in Dinkelberg. The structure is neoclassical in nature. It's got monumentalism. These structures that you see actually look like monuments. On the first tier, 4 smaller temples in symmetry throughout. But gangster era Chicago. Jewelers used to work here. They were afraid they're going to be robbed on the way to work, so they built a car elevator into the basement of this building. It used to go up about 20 floors, and it is no longer in use today. But sits in the basement, has a car from the time period, the Jewelers Building. What is associated with this? You have seen Transformers 3: Dark of the Moon. There's a scene right here. And right here at the top, that was home to the Stratosphere Lounge. The rumor with it is that Al Capone used to frequent this venue all the time. That is not true. That is not true. He was already in prison for 4 years before it even existed. If you want to go see something Al Capone related, you got to come into my neighborhood, go to Uptown, and check out a place called the Green Mill. Very much associated with Capone. But here on the right, everybody, we just started. Check out arguably the most popular buildings in the city of Chicago. You're seeing the Marina City Towers, otherwise known as the corn cobs of the Midwest. Check out the corn cobs, everybody. 2 60-story concrete stems. You got 60-story elevated core centers surrounded by literal pizza slice-shaped apartments. I want you to know, I'm not making a joke when I say that. They're quite literally pizza slice-shaped. We have almost 900 apartments that were just above our heads. It's a city within a city back there. If you're looking for a place to put your boat, they got it. If you want to grab food, they got that. And as we get beyond the bridge, here to the right, you got this cornucopia looking thing. That House of Blues today used to be their own personal movie theater right there. But the car parking decks back there, if you live here and you drive, you're not allowed to park your own vehicle. They have 24/7, 365 valet service. I want you to hear me as I say this. It's not because they're fancy. It's because they do not trust you to not drive off into the river. So, it's for liability and liability alone. But here on the right, you got these 2 very nice restaurants at the base of the American Bar Association Tower. If I'm going to tell you to go eat somewhere along the Chicago River, Pizzeria Portofino right there tops the charts. I don't really have any opinions of RPM Seafood. I just can't afford to go there. So, there's that. But right here, on the right, check out your typical Chicago warehouse. This red brick you're seeing, 1914 by George Nemmons, the former Red Line Grocery Company. This right here, Chicago school style of architecture. All the simplicity, the steel frame, all these materials blocked out by this beautiful red brick. This asymmetrical building today is originally symmetrical. They had to cut out a section over here where it says River Road to complete the widening of the LaSalle Street Bridge. These vascular turning bridges, you see a seam in the middle. They open, middle out, and everybody, they tend to raise and lower early May, late October. You okay back there? Right here. They tend to raise and lower early May, late October to allow sailboats in and out of Lake Michigan. But that last building was from 1914. We have gotten significantly greener in that time. The greenest example is right next door. Here with all the steel and glass on it. This is 300 North LaSalle. This is by Picard Chilton, 2009. The structure doesn't use your typical air conditioning. It is LEED Platinum, LEED sensor leadership in energy and environmental design. This structure takes the Chicago River water up to a rooftop garden where it mitigates it, filtrates it, and it takes the rainwater in that rooftop garden. It does all this to pull off the structure and returns it greener, cleaner to the river than it ever thought about being. Beautiful green efficiency. But let's go back to the time where they only cared about size. So, here next door, this massive structure you see. This right here, everybody, is the Merchandise Mart from 1930. Graham Anderson Probst in white. The structure is Art Deco, the Merchandise Mart. You got strong vertical focus in these columns that trace your eyes up to these setbacks, geometric shapes and patterns throughout. Limestone covering every bit of it. And out front, these are the busts of famous Chicago merchants, such as Marshall Fields, Woolworth, the list goes on and on. They're positioned to look at a structure that is, get this, 5 million square feet, has over 8 miles worth of hallway inside of it. And until 2008, the structure you just saw had its own zip code, 60654. This was originally made to consolidate all of Marshall Field's warehouses into one structure. That was the largest building in the world for some time, largest in the United States, until it is surpassed by the Pentagon. The massive merchandise mine. But look up and look around, everybody. Here we are at Wolf Point. Where we started just a few minutes ago is where Chicago starts. But where it takes the shape of everything you see around you is right here. This is where, in 1833, we incorporate as a town, a city in 1837. This is where we take the shape of everything you see around you here today. Here on the left, you got 333 Wacker Drive, Confederation and Fox. Here to the front left, you got an upside down 50-story building that I'll tell you about later. Here, directly ahead, is River Point Tower, based off the parabolic curve, often referred to as a deodorant stick or a hot pocket stage. You choose. But everybody, that's Picard Chilton, lead gold status. That red sculpture here at its base is the constellations of Santiago de Calatrava. But here on the right, this Wolf Point East. Here in the middle, Salesforce Tower. Around the bend is Wolf Point West. But point being, you just heard me say Wolf Point a couple times. This is where we take the shape of everything you see around you today. So, here on this low-lying, very marshy swampland, things look way different back in the day. To the back right, way off behind us, you would have been seeing a tavern. Here to the right, you'd be seeing a tavern. Here to the left, you'd be seeing a tavern. We had 3 places to get a drink before we had one church or one school. Welcome to Chicago. The drinking culture is real. So, everybody, where does that name come from? Why are we called Chicago? Well, here on this low-lying, very marshy swampland, this Potawatomi land, they were the ones who used the word Chicagoa. These soon to be called Chicagoans move in. They assume when they hear this that they're talking about this area. They are incorrect in that assumption. The Potawatomi are referring to wild, smelly, garlicky onions that grow along the river. So, welcome to Chicagoa, Chicago, aka the smelly onion, the stinky onion. Another translation is the place of bad smells. Welcome to the place of bad smells. But here on the left side, everyone, check out this building.